I have kind of a core belief that can be controversial, but here's what it is. My core belief is that what you talked about, that contempt, is actually the result of we as humans have predictive minds. And we have predictive minds because we needed them, right? We wouldn't have survived if we didn't know that that tiger might have been scary or dangerous. We wouldn't have made it this far, right? So our minds were evolved to predict, to anticipate what might happen. And yet that ability, I think, sometimes is exactly what gets in our way, right? So let me give you a really weird example of this one that just came up the other day. So I'm going to get the details wrong, but you're going to get the story will make sense. So I feel bad. I've got to look this up. There was a country singer who just did a concert, and it was like he had been shut down for like a year and a half. I do remember it wasn't Toby Keith, because that's the only one I know off the top of my head, and it wasn't Toby Keith. So it was some country singer. Anyway, so he's doing his first big show after the pandemic. He has not done a show for a year and a half. He comes out on stage, and the footage that exists that sort of went around social media is this interaction that he has with one of his fans. And it's packed. There's like 10,000 people in this auditorium. And he's yelling at this fan of his, right? And the reason he and this fan had gotten into it is because after a year and a half of not singing these songs, he forgot some of the words. He forgot some of the words to his own songs, and some of his audience was getting really upset. So the thing that exploded on social media was this interaction between this country star and fans. But the way I'm looking at this is slightly different. I'm like, let's get out of our predictive mind and think about what each of these two individuals is going through, right? On one hand, we have a country singer who I think it's okay if they forgot a few lyrics after a year and a half. I mean, I work in the world of muscle memory. That's okay. We all forget things. And especially after a year and a half of not doing something that probably was wrote before that. That makes a lot of sense. I can have empathy for that person. On the other hand, I can also have empathy for someone who has been waiting a year and a half to see his favorite singer, and this person gave what he considered an unrehearsed and unprepared performance. Both of these things can be true. And so what's our obstacle? I believe our obstacle is two things. Number one is the simple, empathy and trust of being able to see something from someone else's point of view. That's one piece. And then, of course, the other piece is so now forget these two people and look at us as the audience, looking at the social media piece. We are judging it through an 8-second clip that we don't know any of the rest of the context. So if you think about the three characters in this story, the singer, the fan, and us viewing it, all of us are reacting with contempt based on our limited understanding of what's going on in the reality of the other person's world. So yeah, you're exactly right. And I think my point is, the reason I had to go through sort of the evolutionary door to get there, and I work with my clients on this all the time, I say, the point of telling you the evolutionary story is, believe me, not to get into a debate about evolution. That is not what I want to do. But the reason I have to talk about that is because I have to have you understand that you have to retrain your mind. That is a powerful thing that you have been learning since you were an infant. And in fact, your parents and their parents taught you that you needed to predict the world and what was actually happening. That's a very different skill from listening and empathizing with the world, which is, I think, the precipice of where we are today.
So this is huge. I want to just even elevate some of the points that you made. This predictive mind thing is super big. And it would be so easy for all of us to slip into events in our minds that just happened where somebody else did that to us.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
but we would forget to have the self-awareness for the times that we do it ourselves. So I'm going to really think about this. That predictive mind thing is so important in contempt.